Gold has had a staggering run in the past couple of months, and with it, some very interesting gold companies, gold exploration companies did too. One of these is Sitka Gold, which has a number of very promising projects in its portfolio and is progressing them aggressively right now. We talked to CEO Corwin Coe today to hear more on the exciting developments at Sitka. Welcome, Corwin.
Good afternoon. Good morning for where I'm calling from, but afternoon where you are.
Yes.
Nice to be here.
Corwin, as this is our first interview, I would ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the Sitka team for the Gold Invest audience.
Sure. I'm the CEO. I'm a professional geologist, a mining engineering technologist, and a gemologist. Myself, I've put 2 mines in production from grassroots all the way through, and I've been credited with a 2 million ounce gold deposit discovery. The team, it's a very impressive team that we put together. It's over 150 years of experience in mineral exploration. And this team we had assembled in 2013 when copper was having a run, and we formed this company. And in 18 months, we took that from incorporation to selling it at a very substantial return for the shareholder. So lots of success, lots of experience, a diversified management team and board of directors. All the bios are on the website. It would take a long time to go through them all, but very, very strong experience and successful management team there.
That's certainly good to hear, because you certainly have a lot on your plate also there, because Sitka doesn't have only 1 or 2 promising gold projects in its portfolio. It has 4. Is that strategy? Is that to diversify risk? Because it seems, as I said, a lot to take on for one junior company.
It is true, and it's intentional on our part. When we went public, we had 1 property in Nevada. We drilled that. We weren't happy with the results. We dropped that property. The markets reacted, as you can imagine, very negatively, and we made the conscious decision to go out and find quality gold projects in stable jurisdictions and diversify. And so that's how that came about. And fortunate for us, the gold market had not started, and we were able to acquire these properties at terms that you would never get today. So it's an enviable position that we ended up in, but it also gave us good diversification in stable jurisdictions, Arizona, Nevada, and the Yukon. And also, one of the criteria that we had was that these assets had to be in areas where the logistics were good. You could drive to them so that the cost of exploration was lower, and that they had already proven multi-million ounce gold deposits in the area and in that geological province. So these criteria were pretty strict, but within 2.5 years, we acquired these assets, and we're very comfortable with them and pleased at our progress to date.
Okay, so let's talk about the projects then. Let's go back to Nevada first. There you have the Alpha project, I think it's called. What do you have there, and what do you plan to achieve?
Okay, the Alpha Gold project is a very high-risk project. It's a geological conceptual play right in the Carlin district. If we do hit a target that we're looking at there, it could be a substantial reward. But as our news release last week mentioned, we drilled 1 hole, deep hole. We didn't hit our main target. We hit a portion of the target. We proved that the lower plate is preserved in the Carlin district there, and that there is leakage coming from below the target area that we wanted to penetrate. The hole was a vertical hole that deflected as it was drilled deeper, and we realized we were going to miss the primary contact, the Devil's Gate Formation, which is a limestone unit. And so we got a lot of valuable information from that, and we're able to put that together and refine our second drill hole at that project.
Okay, so that is what you're going to do. You take the information from the first drill hole, from what you had an information before, and then you go in again and see if you can find this
Exactly.
information?
Yeah. What was significant in that drill hole was that we got anomalous gold, and where we got the highest gold peaks, we got coincident high mercury, and this is what you want to see because it's one of the primary pathfinders for Carlin type gold deposits. So that was very encouraging. That part of it. The strategy now is to locate the second drill hole where we can keep it on course, and that it will have the highest probability of tapping that lower target area for the shallowest drilling necessary.
Okay. As you said, it's a high risk play or high risk project, and you're aiming for Carlin type deposits. Can you just briefly give our audience an idea what you're going after there? What would be an example of a deposit of that type?
Yeah, well, the Carlin district there, it's the second richest area on the planet for gold. And there's over 30 producing mines there. When you hit these targets, if you hit a deposit, it's usually a multi-million ounce deposit. And where we are, we're on the projection of the Cortez trend that has 3 deposits that sum up to 50 million ounces of gold. And where this trend intersects what's called the Garden Valley anticline, which is that lower limestone unit that we're targeting, where this intersection is, it's an excellent prep area for a deposit to form. And so at that intersection, that's alpha gold. That's what we're looking at tapping. First off, we had to make sure that the lower plate carbonates still existed, that they weren't eroded, and that the conceptual structural interpretation was correct. And we succeeded in doing that with the first hole. So the second hole, you don't need to worry about that anymore. Now it's refining the target area.
Okay, so let's move on then. We'll see how that goes, and be sure to talk about that at a later point. But as I said, let's move on to the next project. An important project for Sitka is the Baroque Creek in Arizona. What do you have there, and how far are you in exploring this property?
Baroque Creek, it's a very low risk project in our opinion because several things. One is there's already a historical resource there. There was a 43-101 resource calculation done in 2013, and it's now called historical, but it was the second time that the actual deposit was drilled. In the 1980s, this deposit was drilled and was going into production. I happened to be the project manager on that. And so I was very familiar with the project. We got all the permits, all the metallurgical studies done. We had everything ready to go. And the company watched the price of gold start to slide and said, let's hold off for a bit. And of course, the rest is history. Gold went into a hiatus there for $250 an ounce for many, many years. And the project got shelved. So I am very familiar with the project. The fact that this thing has like 5 million ounces of silver and about 120,000 ounces of gold, grading around a gram in gold and about 45 grams per ton silver. This is not why we moved into the Baroque Creek project. It's because the last work done there showed that this vein deposit could be laying very shallowly under the mountaintop for a distance of 1.5 kilometers. Due to some soil anomaly results. It was mobile metal ion was the technique used, and it just lit up where you could draw a line where that vein would project to be. So we went in there on the pretense that we can expand that deposit significantly, since the old deposit's only like 250 meters in strike length, and we had 1.5 kilometers of this anomaly. So we drilled 10 holes. We finished in April of this year, and confirmed that this vein is indeed laying under a thin veneer of volcanic rock. And it just ups the potential for this deposit to be a lot larger. It has high-grade sections. One of our drill holes, we ended up with 1 gram over 41 meters of gold and about 50 grams per ton silver. But within that, we had an 18 grams per ton gold over a meter. So it has a high-grade section to it, which is very encouraging for us.
Okay.
So our plan is to go back and do a second phase of drilling because we only stepped out about 250 meters. We still got just over 1 kilometer to drill on this, fencing out this anomaly. But but we're waiting on permits right now from the BLM because we stepped off of private ground now onto public claims, mining claims. So
well,
that's where we're at.
it certainly sounds promising to go after that. But while you're waiting for the permits, you have enough work to do because last but not very much not least, you have two very interesting projects in the Yukon. And I think that's the RC and the OGI, the newest addition to the portfolio. There's a lot going on in the Yukon at the moment. Other companies are drilling, and it has been very active for a while now. If I understand correctly, both of your projects there are close to existing mines and or deposits.
That's correct, yes. We're in the Tombstone Gold Belt, and to the west of us is the Golden Predators Baroque Creek mine that is permitted to go in production, and to the east of us is Victoria Gold's Eagle mine that is in production recently. And in that province, two things. One is these are the only two gold properties that are permitted to go into production in the Yukon, and that's significant in itself. It shows that the jurisdiction is good. The communities are embracing mining, and the geological province, the Tombstone Gold Belt, exhibits a lot of potential for several of these deposits to exist. To the north of us, there's a deposit at Red Mountain, 2 million ounces of gold as well. So that is a very, very pregnant area for finding these type of deposits. And Sitka, 14 months ago, did not even have a project up there. And within the last 14 months, we've assembled a district scale package with 4 underlying property owners, pardon me, 5 underlying property owners. We've raised money. We've drilled 6 of our primary targets this year, and those drill holes, that drill core is in the lab as we speak. So we're very aggressive up there, and we believe that because that area is opened up, primarily because a new road was cut through there by a placer miner. So it's made it a lot easier to access and be cost effective in exploring. So we're in an incredible position there. We've got the largest land package of anybody between Victoria Gold and Baroque Creek.
Very exciting.
Yeah,
exciting times ahead. I guess there's a lot of drilling. Well, with the uptick in gold prices and financings by a lot of companies, there's a lot of activity, and the labs will take some time to process all the different samples. But still, it shouldn't be too long, so we will hear from that. Let's say the results are good, and you like what you see there. What are the next steps then in Yukon?
Well, the next steps are result-driven, absolutely. We would like to be focused on putting a resource definition drilling together next spring, and there may be more than one location for that. These drill holes that we did, some of them are 6 kilometers apart. We're looking at a huge, huge area here, and if we get a couple of good strikes there, obviously we're going to be doing fill-in and starting to put together a resource. So exciting times for us. On the surface, we released some assays up to 27 grams per ton gold. We know that this area is very fertile, and those type of assays on the surface, if they reflect what we see in our drill holes, then we're off and running for sure.
Okay, very good. So lots of work to do, but as always, that will consume or has consumed and will consume a lot of money too. How is Sitka for cash? We need to go back to the markets anytime soon?
Sitka's good. We raised over $3 million in the last 4 months, and 1.2 million of that was allocated for the Yukon, budgeted for drilling the RC Gold project, and also some of it for the OGI. The rest of that money would go to Arizona, Nevada, and corporate overhead. So we're good. We're cashed up. We're not looking at worrying about raising money here in the short term. And a lot of these things change if the results are spectacular up north. We may be raising substantial money for the spring. But we also have a lot of warrants that are being taken down right now that are in the money, and that kind of tops up the treasury as well.
Okay, good to hear. So to sum up, please give our audience the main reasons, in your personal opinion, that make Sitka stand up from the crowd and worth a closer look.
Well, I'd say number one is management. You know, management is so important. Your assets are important, but if you don't have good management with a track record of success, then you're struggling right off the bat. And we have that checked off. We have just a board of explorationists that have been around the block, have been successful, and know how to walk a company forward and grow with it. The other one is the assets. I mean, Arizona, Nevada, and the Yukon, these are quality assets in quality jurisdictions that fulfill a lot of criteria for us. And so when you invest in Sitka, you're not just investing in one project, you're investing in several different exploration plays that could be a discovery. So diversification, I think, is very good that way. The other thing is, you know, we do have our copper asset in the Arctic. It's Arctic Copper Corporation is a 100% owned subsidiary of Sitka Gold Corp, and that comes from our roots in copper on the board. We have a 50,000 hectare property up there, another huge property that we have discovered a sedimentary hosted copper showing on the surface that runs about 13% copper and a couple ounces in silver. So we've got our foot in the door in copper, and we own it 100%, and there's no underlying royalties or anything. This is a very 100% owned by Sitka Gold copper play. So that's kind of neat too for people that think that copper is going to have its day. You're not just investing in gold or silver. The other thing I think that's really important is, you know, we own almost 20% of the outstanding shares in the company. This is management and the directors. Our alignment is with the shareholders. And on top of that, there are no salaries paid to the officers of Sitka Gold Corp. So our motivation, our success will be when the shareholder has success. This is our position that we took with Tundra Copper, and we have that with Sitka Gold. So the shareholder can feel pretty comfortable that we're working in their best interest, because that is in our best interest as well.
Yeah.
So the other thing I think that's really important is that we're focused and we're aggressive. We've drilled 4 different properties just this year alone. This is a company that's looking at a discovery, and the only way you make these discoveries is you drill. And because of our low overhead, we're able to stretch these dollars a long ways. And the fact that we already have a property that has a resource, albeit historical in its classification, that's comfort to the shareholder too. We're not just grassroots here. We have a project that already has a foundation of gold and silver in its asset base. So those are the reasons I think Sitka stands out.
Okay, thank you very much. It certainly sounds like, especially in a gold market where gold is keeping at the levels it is at the moment, could be become very, very interesting, and also very, very soon once the results come in. Thank you for taking the time, and we'll be sure to check in at a later point and see how it all went. Thank you.
Thank you.